Hi everyone, and welcome to another Spill the Tea on Tarot review videos. My name is Debbie from Spill the Tea Leaf Readings and More. If you'd like a reading, you can email me at info@spillthetealeaf.com, comment below, or message me. I also do tea leaf readings. So today I'm spilling the tea on the Moon and Stars Tarot deck by Jayne Wallace, which is actually a deck that I got at a Hallmark store when I was buying a bunch of holiday cards. It was a little bit of an impulse buy, but the artwork intrigued me. And so I just decided to go for it and buy it. And I actually had an incident on the way to my car. The paper bag that Hallmark gave me broke because I bought a lot of stuff and I don't think it wasn't strong enough for all the stuff I bought. And so in the middle of the road, I realized that the bag was broken and things were falling out. And the thing that fell out, and I had to actually chase down and hope that a car wasn't about to run me over, was this tarot deck. And you can imagine, after an impulse buy of tarot cards, having it be the thing that falls out of a bag on the way to your car doesn't really make you feel too confident in your purchase. And so I haven't really done much with this deck because of that experience. But, well, here it is. And I actually really like it. And it gives me lots of positive vibes. So I'm glad that I bought it. But for a while there, I wasn't too sure. All right. Well, let's look at the cards. Let's start with the box. So this is a nice big box. It's a good hard one. You can see some of the cards on all of the sides there. And this has one of those magnetic side panels that opens up. So this tells you about Jayne Wallace as well as Hannah Davies, who is the illustrator of this deck. And they are both from England. All right. So let's start with the major arcana, shall we? So some of these cards are reminiscent of the traditional Rider-Waite Smith cards, and some of them are totally different, and some of them are a little bit familiar, but not entirely. Like the High Priestess, you know it's the High Priestess. She has a similar crown on her head, but the rest of it's totally different. The Empress, totally different. Emperor, similar-ish, you know. Hierophant, totally different. So it's really interesting to see these cards. And you can read a little bit about the inspiration, which is the Moon and Stars, in the guidebook, which of course I'll talk about at the end. Hermit reminds me of Little Red Riding Hood. I don't think that's intentional though. And you can see at the bottom of each card, it gives you a word, which is, according to the guidebook, the meaning of the card. And there are other keywords in the guidebook. I also want to point out, we already went by justice, but strength and justice are opposites in this deck. So if you're someone who always sees strength as card 8 and justice as 11, it is the other way around in this deck, which is worth pointing out if you're doing like numerology things with it. But if you're just reading them straight up, it doesn't make a huge difference. These cards have a matte finish rather than glossy, so they feel a little bit different than most tarot cards, which isn't a bad thing. Just a fact. All right, so here are the swords. You'll notice that these are pip cards. They still have the meaning word at the bottom there. But I'm going to go through them a little bit quicker because they're pips. They are arranged interestingly, and you know the nines aren't arranged the same way in all the suits, for example. So that's nice, but they are pips. There's the page, knight, queen, and the king of swords. Now you notice that the swords are purple. Each of these suits is color-coded, although the cup's blue is, one, very similar to the sword's purple, but B, the color coding is kind of weird with the court cards for some reason, which you'll see in a second. It's not the same blue, so the consistency of the color coding isn't as wonderful as I would hope it would be. It's darker and not really blue on these for some reason. I also feel like there's no color coding on the major arcana, but you can see from the ones that are flipped over, like there isn't much obvious difference between the three. And so the wands and the pentacles do a lot of a much better job with the color coding. It's much more of a contrast. So this obviously is wands. I will say these pips do have a little bit of personality, which is kind of fun. And of course, because they have the meaning word at the bottom, it's a lot easier to read these pips than a more traditional pip deck. And finally, pentacles. I also think the color coding is interesting. Pentacles being earth, you would think that this would be green. I think it's because the pentacles are represented by full moons in this deck, even though they're still pentacles. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. But I would have made, I think, swords yellow, and wands more of a red or a pink, and I definitely would have made these green. That's just my personal feeling on it, and that would have also made the purple and blue of the cups different, or of the swords and the cups different. If the swords aren't purple and the cups are still blue, the contrast is a little bit better there. But anyways, those are the cards, and this is the guidebook. So it's a pretty big book for a guidebook, and it has a thickness to it, so it doesn't feel as thick as some other guidebooks, but because it's big, it still probably contains the same amount of information. There's a nice table of contents in here, and it actually has a lot. There's an introduction, there's rituals, full moon magic affirmation, new moon magic affirmation, ritual, sleep well moon affirmation, daily supervision, star message ritual, and then it tells you how to begin a reading and how to connect with the deck. And there is a spread here for how to do that, which I actually did, as well as my regular deck interview. And what I'll say is I got a lot of positive vibes from this deck. Just really positive, like it just really wants to help. It wants to bring out the best in me. That's nice. So then it has some spreads. Card of the day, which is a pretty typical one. Wishes of fulfillment. Shooting star, past, present, and future, with a fourth card for future insight. A moon cycle, what is blocking me spread. Eye nebula, open my eyes to healing. And then a 10 planet spread, as well as a zodiac wheel, balancing emotion spreads. There's a lot of great spreads in here. So I look forward to trying them all out. Major arcana explanation, and then you get a nice page with a picture for each of these cards. And I should stop and make sure you can see that. There we go. So there's keywords, and then it tells you about the card, and then the meaning is the same word that's on the card, and then it launches into it a little bit more. And then all of the major arcana cards have a star message and moon magic affirmation. So you have a lot of information there. When you get to the minor arcana, you get a little bit of information about those. And then there's less for each card. There's 2 to a page for these. Again, you have your keywords. So this one, keywords, the meaning, which is the one that matches the one on the card. And they either have a moon message or a star message. They don't have both, like with the major arcana. And they alternate. So depending on what the number is, you either get moon or star. And it's the same for the court cards, in case you're wondering. Same setup. So that's the guidebook. And that's the deck. Overall, this is a really positive deck. I'm looking forward to using it and trying it out. I think it's also a really good beginner's deck, just because it has that word for the meaning right on the card. That being said, I feel like, and I of course can't think of an example right off the top of my head, but not all of the words on the card itself for the meaning are always as helpful as you want it to be, because of course each card has a lot of meanings and is very nuanced, and so one word doesn't say it all. So I mean, I guess I can use this as an example, right? Understanding. It's not that it's understanding, it's that there's clarity and focus and communication, and therefore there's understanding. So it's almost like in many cases it would be helpful if you had the keywords, because then you could get to the meaning on your own, rather than you have the meaning but you're missing how you got there and you kind of have to fill in the blanks. So it's a good deck for beginners potentially, but it's not 100% intuitive, just because it has the word on there. And of course, with the pips, it's always a little bit harder to access your intuition. But as I said, I do feel like the pips have some personality, which is nice. There's also no nudity. There are some cards that are, I don't think there are, now that I say them, I'm like, is there nudity? There are cards that are reminiscent of nudity, like the Empress doesn't feel like she's wearing clothes necessarily, but you don't see anything. Let's see. Yeah, there's no nudity. So this is also a good deck for someone to use who is maybe a child, or someone who just doesn't like having nudity in their decks. So that's great too. Well, that's the deck. I don't really have anything else to say about it. If you want to ask me questions about it, please feel free. If you're looking for a reading with this deck or another, please reach out to me. You can comment below, you can message me, or you can email me at info@spillthetealeaf.com. I do also do tea leaf readings if that's something you're interested in. And thank you so much for watching this video. Have a wonderful day. Bye.